We're covering female reproductive anatomy, and we're looking at a cross-section here, specifically a mid-sagittal cut. And then we'll look at a different picture that'll focus more on internal anatomy of the ovary, the uterine tube, and the uterus. But let's look at an overall general picture of female anatomy. We'll start what we call the vulva or the external anatomy. And typically what we see on the anterior side is the mons pubis, mons referring to mountain at the pubic region. I have this portion here to where I have adipose tissue to give it structural support, but also to give it cushion to provide any protection for the internal anatomy, including for reproduction during sexual intercourse. I have the mons pubis. As I come down to these protective folds here, on the external, the outer region, I have labia majora. This is larger, a little bit of adipose tissue. This is where we grow hair, and it's an external fold for protection first of the urethra for the bladder, and then also for the vaginal canal. Internally, the internal fold is the labia minora, and it's a little bit thinner, it's more vascular, a little bit more sensitive, but still providing that external protection for the internal organs. And then the clitoris is the sexual stimulation to encourage reproduction. It's analogous to the glans penis of the male to have that sexual stimulation. Within the clitoris, you have thousands and thousands of nerve endings that provide that stimulation. During any arousal, this will engorge in blood just like the penis. The penis engorges with blood and gets larger. So does the clitoris. And we refer to the clitoris as the external portion that you can see on the outside of the female, but it actually extends in and it can engorge up to 3 centimeters once it's filled with blood. All those nerve endings are encouraging that sexual stimulation. We use the clitoris to encourage reproduction, just the same as the glans penis for the male. As I go internally, just to show you on the anterior side, this is the urinary bladder, which is separate for the urinary system, versus with the male, the two systems are combined. So I have separate tubes. I have the urethra for the urinary bladder, but when I come over to the reproductive side, this is where I see the vagina and that vaginal canal that'll lead up to the uterus. And within the vagina, I have these folds called vaginal rugae. These rugae are the bumps that we see to give me those hills and valleys, and it allows for that stretching and to be able to create that surface during what we have during menses and then also during sexual intercourse. And that menses is occurring within the uterus. So within the uterus, the menses of the menstrual cycle, we have 3 layers. And that internal layer, when I look inside of the uterus, we're describing what is being shed off on a monthly basis. We call that the endometrium. The inner layer is endometrium, and we'll look at another picture to show that. The muscular portion, which is that smooth muscle during labor and delivery, this is the myometrium. And then towards the periphery, the outside of the uterus is perimetrium. So I have 3 layers, and then also I have 3 regions. The top rounded region is the fundus. The lower region, or the distal portion, is the cervix, and then everything else in the middle is the body. The top rounded fundus, body, and then cervix. And cervix we often refer to as, when we think about during labor and delivery, is the cervix dilated up to 10 centimeters to allow for that baby to come through into the vaginal canal. We also use the cervix as a way to store sperm, because remember, sperm can survive inside the female typically up to 5 days, depending on the conditions of the female, but also the health status of the sperm. So I have the uterus, and what's connected to it is my uterine tube or fallopian tube. And it's mostly referred as the fallopian tube, but I like referring to the uterine tube because it's connected to the uterus. And then reaching to it is the ovary. We'll look at this in more depth on the next picture, but that ovary is where we're producing the eggs or the embryo that ultimately can be fertilized, typically in the uterine tube at the ampulla, and then come on over into the uterus for it to develop over time. This is a general overview, but when I go deeper into the internal anatomy and I look at it from this perspective, I'm looking at now the internal side, focusing on the ovary, the uterine tube, and the uterus. If I go back and I look at the ovary, 2 ovaries per female, and they're roughly about the shape of an almond. As they get older, as a female starts to go through menopause and are no longer reproducing, these will actually start to shrink because the structure is shrinking, so the function is shrinking. The ovary is where we're producing those eggs on a monthly basis. As I produce these eggs, once a month, one will be released. Typically, each ovary will alternate. In this case, on this picture, it'll release what's called a secondary oocyte that'll be released into the fallopian or uterine tube. Where it does it is right at that point here that we call Fimbriae. Fimbriae is that connection right at the ovary. When I say connection, it's not literally connected. There is a small gap to where almost the Fimbriae are just kind of sweeping along the ovary. During the uterine cycle, when we have that 14th day that we call ovulation and ovulate that secondary oocyte, it's going to release into the Fimbriae. The Fimbriae is then going to allow it to travel up, and we're going to be using cilia. Remember, cilia move things across the cell surface, so we'll start to see cilia within the fallopian tubes. We first hit this first portion called an infundibulum. The funnel after the Fimbriae is called the infundibulum, and then it gets to a wider portion and longer portion that we call the ampulla. What's specific to the ampulla is usually the optimal site of fertilization. When an egg is released during ovulation, you have roughly about 24 hours for that egg to survive. We're looking 12 to 48 hours, but on average around 48 hours is going to be our max, and that's highly unlikely. It's typically 24 hours that egg will survive. During the chance of fertilization, when the sperm is entered in, millions of sperm during ejaculation of intercourse, all that sperm is coming up through the uterus by way of the vaginal canal. As it goes through the fallopian tube, typically the best site of fertilization is going to be at the ampulla of the uterine tube. Now, it can still occur throughout any spot, but what we're allowing for is that time for the egg to already start to develop as it travels along and starts to divide before it implants into the uterus. So we go back to our ovary, Fimbriae, infundibulum, reaching the widest portion, the ampulla, and then it'll come around the uterine tube and hit what's called the isthmus. And isthmus is that narrow passageway by the time we get to the uterus. Even within the isthmus, we'll see a collection of sperm. Remember again, sperm can live for about 5 days. It will swim around depending on its health status, waiting for an egg because it's assuming we're looking to fertilize. That will travel along through the isthmus and then finally potentially implant into the uterus if the conditions are right through the cycles and the health status of both the male and the female. When we look inside the uterus, remember there's 3 layers and 3 regions. The 3 layers include the inner portion here inside endometrium. So the inner layer endometrium, remember this is the layer that sloughs off or sheds during menses. So endometrium. Then I have myometrium, which is the muscular layer. Myo referring to the muscle. This is our smooth muscle to contract during labor and delivery. And then on the periphery or the outside, the wider section here, this is all the perimetrium. So 3 layers, now our 3 regions. The top rounded portion is the fundus. Top rounded portion is the fundus. The bottom or distal side is the cervix. And then everything else in the middle where I've literally written uterus, this is the body. So fundus, body, and cervix, and now we're going into the vaginal canal. The other thing to point out structure here is the ovarian ligament. The ovarian ligament is the structure here to stabilize the ovary as it attached to the wall of the perimetrium. I have all of these structures that are encouraging reproduction by moving that egg along the fallopian tube. Our optimum site of fertilization in the ampulla. Sometimes that egg could get stuck when it's fertilized there. That's called ectopic pregnancy, which could be very dangerous to a female. But we want that egg to continue to divide and then implant into the uterus and start to divide based on if the hormone levels are correct and our situation is optimal for the egg, you will start to develop and end up with a fetus inside the uterus. This is the female reproductive system.